Hello, I'm Councillor Mark Cory, leader of Colchester Borough Council.
And we have some questions from a Colchester community page on Facebook. The first one is, will the Lib Dems back a Labour-led council?
So currently we work in coalition with the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, I am one of them, work with the Labour Party. We have a joint cabinet. We also used to work with the Independents as well, which worked really well. So I'm happy to work with Labour or the Independents going forward. I do think it's better to have two parties working together or three parties. I do think two heads are better than one. I think that one party in charge might not always get the right answers. I know we don't get everything right. We try and work together to get things as best as possible for Colchester. So I'm happy to work with them, yes. But actually, it's a democratic choice. So the Liberal Democrat group will have a democratic choice, as will the Labour Party group as well. So we'll have to cross that bridge when it comes to it. I hope to get Liberal Democrat councillors elected. We've got some excellent candidates out there and some good councillors restanding. So let's see what happens in the election.
And would you campaign to rejoin the EU?
No, not at this point. I mean, we've just left the EU. I campaigned to remain, and I think people had some really genuine feelings as to why to leave and why to remain. Sadly, I think we were sold quite a few lies. I mean, the £350 million on that bus has never come to the NHS and instead has been wasted on private contracts. And I would love to see that money come to the NHS and support our staff and actually give them the pay rise that they deserve, much more than 1%. So I would rather focus on the issues that we have in front of us today. And some of those issues are actually caused by Brexit. The problems that businesses are facing are really fundamental. There's many businesses that are struggling because of the problems of Brexit. And actually, I would not blame Brexit just on its own. I'd blame the Conservatives' deal that they got. Boris Johnson got this deal, and I feel sorry for Theresa May because he took her deal, made it a hell of a lot worse, and then pushed it through. And she actually was trying to get a combination of working close with Europe where we wouldn't have to have all these problems and checks at the borders. And he's pushed it through, promised one thing, led to another thing, and it really is a mess at the moment. So let's try and clear up the mess. Let's try and work with Europe and stop blaming them for everything or having a fight between what's right and what's wrong. Let's just get on and support our businesses so we can support our workers in the most important time as we recover from COVID.
And just speaking about obviously trading with Europe, with the announcement obviously that Harwich will become a free port, obviously it's just up the A120 between the two of you, very close. Are you hoping that Colchester will seek some benefits from that?
Yes, absolutely. So I supported that free port bid, despite it not being exactly the political steer that my party would think is good. Because it does pick at renewing old policies and trying to sort of undermine some other areas that the EU work with. But actually, if it's a positive impact for Colchester, then great. Let's see what we can do out of it. Also for tendering, it needs that support as well. So I'm willing to work with anyone, with businesses, with other councils to try and make this free port work as best as possible, to encourage more growth in our area, to encourage more jobs, high skilled jobs as well. But I don't want to see sort of big warehouses where big companies, international companies are paying little tax or contribution locally. I want decent jobs for our workers and people who are paying tax locally here, big companies paying tax locally into Colchester and tendering.
And throughout the pandemic, of course, the high streets, they've been impacted severely with shops closed and whatnot. Of course, we've got the roadmap, but there are still empty stores across towns throughout the country. What would you like to do to actually maybe fill those spaces?
We're doing many things. We've been successful in getting the town deal fund, 18.2 million. That was led mainly by Colchester officers in partnership with Essex County Council officers at the bid and business leaders, many others involved. And we worked really hard to get as much money as we could, 18.2 million with an extra million that was early funded into some of our public realm projects, mean that we are going to be able to polish the crown jewels of Colchester, the jewels in our crown, and make it even better. So public realm works that bring people in, that make our streets look nicer and encourage more social gathering when we're allowed to do it in nice green urban landscapes. Around the Mercury Theatre, which is just being finished, improved realm around that, and St Nicholas Square. Also, money for Jumbo, money for a possible youth improvements in the youth zone, which is something my party really want to see, and many other projects that will attract people in, promoting our heritage, but promoting business as well. One other project we got 3.7 million for from CELEP, which is the enterprise zone that we're part of, is for the Queen Street Grow On Hub. So we've got a incubation hub for businesses. Now we've got a Grow On Hub. So once they get a bit bigger, they can go there and have support from business agencies, but lower rents to us. So many ideas that are bringing in business, bringing in people to spend their money. Also, we're looking at car parks that are lower on usage, using them, redeveloping them, bringing in some housing, which would be more footfall for the town centre, housing that is close to the train station and bus station, and improving the bus station that we have. It's not much of a bus station at the moment, improving the facilities there, encouraging people into the town centre, encouraging people into the town centre for activities, to enjoy the place in itself, for activities, promoting our heritage, but also to live there as well.
And one thing that the pandemic has certainly proved throughout the country is that there is something that can be done to solve rough sleeping. Now, is there any plans in place to help keep people off the streets of Colchester?
Well, absolutely. It has been a positive solution during this time to get people in, the everyone in policy. And it shows if the government really wants to, it can stop homelessness. Okay, it wasn't a longer term solution. The longer term solutions are building homes for people that need them, which we are doing as a council. We are building new council homes and affordable homes as much as we possibly can. We're investing millions of pounds into that. That helps drive our local economy as well as put roofs over families and people's heads. That's really important. We work very closely with a One Colchester partnership, which brings together health, county council, charities, the third sector. So we do work with homeless charities. We work together to try and house people as much as possible. We've got very, very good housing officers who can provide housing, and we have a mental health practitioner within our team, which is something quite novel, not many other councils do. So we support people in their greatest need to make sure we can give them long-term solutions, not just put them in a bed and breakfast for a short period, but to give them housing that will see them on in the future.
And a lot of people throughout the pandemic, they have lost their jobs. If they haven't been fortunate enough to be furloughed, they may not have been kept on. What would you like to see in the long term to get people back up and working? Would that be sort of Freeport East or anything else that you have in mind?
Well, two things. One, a national solution. We need a green jobs revolution. Our economy needs to green, it needs to become much more sustainable. We could do that. The government could do many decent programs that kills a couple of birds with one stone. You could look at green housing and training people up to use prefab housing that they do in other countries like Germany, so we could have housing put up more quickly and in a green way that has less carbon footprint, and get people who aren't the typical builders, who aren't the typical bricklayers, to learn new skills within a half-a-year course or a year course or something, who can then develop these projects. Something like that, but also other green technologies that we could be putting our money into, creating jobs in those areas. Locally, the second point I'd make is we are investing £43 million of capital investment into the town. We're also investing near to sort of £100 million into housing. Those projects will employ local people because we put local contractors up the top of our list, so we can deliver social value for Colchester, as well as environmental credentials at the top of that list as well. So together, if we can get a national solution, great. But locally, our projects that we are putting forward really put money into the local economy, recharge the job market, and give us lots of opportunities for young people or people who have been made unemployed via COVID to be re-employed again locally, learning new skills and inputting into our local economy.
And the restrictions that we face throughout the numerous lockdowns, while they've been understandable, they have, of course, led to greater impacts on people's mental health. Some people who may not have actually experienced it in the past are probably now feeling more isolated, lonely and anxious. What would your message be to those people, and what would Colchester Borough Council want to do to help them?
Yeah, I completely understand. I think we've all struggled up and down during this crisis, and being unlocked and locked down again. The horizon looks good with the vaccines, but again, we're not there yet. We have to follow those rules. So first of all, please keep following the guidelines. They are for all of us. They're not for the government. They are for us to look after each other. So please do follow them. And I'll reassure you that Colchester has done really well throughout the lockdowns, throughout the rules, following the rules. Working together is what we've done well with health, with the county council, with police. Colchester Borough Council has helped lead on that with this One Colchester partnership. We've worked together with the BID, which is the Business Improvement District. So businesses have worked together with a common framework. So when the high street reopens, people can be confident that they are all following the rules. We're trying to help you and encourage you, make you more confident to come out safely, and do it gradually, because people are anxious. Take small steps at a time. And one thing I'll say, I'm a part-time teacher. I see the effects on younger people, and it really is something I care about a lot, because the mental health for young people, stopping and starting their schooling, not being able to see friends, and not being able to learn, and not knowing where their future takes them if they've missed out on exams or they've had predicted grades rather than taking exams. So I really feel for them. We've got to do more for young people in Colchester, and that's why the Lib Dems back a youth zone, looking at bringing together a number of skills and support, as well as fun, sport, engagement, so that we can get young people on a better footing for the future to help our COVID recovery for our younger people.